I have been working on a Strand crowd control build for my Titan, and I'm very happy with where it's at. I've been doing some tough PvE content with it, and today I'm going to show you the build. Hey, what's up everyone? First, thank you for watching today's video. If you do enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and share it to support it. Subscribe for more Destiny 2 content from me, and at the end of the video, come and check out our great community linked at the top of the video description. The build I'm sharing with you today is an idea I got as soon as I finished the Lightfall campaign. I thought Strand is a great subclass for crowd control, and I was like, I want to be that member of the fire team that is going to be doing that crowd control. How quick can I get my Strand abilities back? How often can I be basically stranding the enemies, you know, suspending them in the air and stopping them from attacking my team? And this is the build that I put together. I've been working on it for weeks now, and it's at a point I'm very happy to share it with you. I've been doing all sorts of content like on screen now. This is the legendary difficulty of the exotic quest, which is quite a tough task. We did this before the nerf as well. I got through that. I've been doing solo legend lost sectors. I've been doing master difficulty story missions. I've been doing everything with it. I haven't been doing PvP with it. It's not really a PvP build. It is for PvE and all sorts of PvE. Next week, at the time of making this video, Grandmasters are released, and I'm going to be taking it into a Grandmaster strike as well. So far, everything I've thrown at the build, it has basically smashed with my team, and it's also good solo. So let's have a look at it. Before we start, I have uploaded this build to guardianforge.net. So if you want to go and view it there and download it for yourself later after the video, the link will be down in the video description. And I'm not going to be showing you a ton of gameplay today. We're just going to stick to the build and how I've built it. But if you want to see gameplay over on more GCROCK, I've uploaded a lot of content using this build, including this overclock triumph attempt, that exotic mission we just saw in the intro, an EDZ legend battleground, and all sorts. I also stream with this build pretty much every week, so you can check it out there too. Some of these video links I'll link down below as well. So let's start with the weapons. I've really been enjoying the Quicksilver Storm, even before it got fixed. Now it's fixed, it's even better. It's a Strand weapon, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I have that as my primary. This is the weapon I'll switch out most though, depending on the activity. So if I'm doing something with champions in, like barrier champs, I'm going to go and throw on the Arbalest. And what's good about Strand though, that's all I need to do for the champions, because if they are unstoppable or overload, I can pretty much deal with them with the Strand subclass alone. It's only barrier that you're going to struggle against, which is why you're going to need something to take care of that besides the build. Other weapons I've used on the build, I've used a Perpetualist Godroll there, a Lodrock Godroll. We've got the Crimson. It really doesn't matter what weapons you go for on this build. You can adjust the mods and the artifact accordingly. The main point to this build is the crowd control and being able to do it very efficiently. My second there in the energy slot is the Hero's Burden. I'd highly recommend running a Void weapon on this build in Season 20 because of the artifact and how it works. With Void damage, it is OP. So whether you get one in the kinetic slot or the energy or the power, get as many Void weapons on the build as possible, in all honesty. This Hero's Burden is a very good one. Again, it's Godroll. I've been having a lot of fun with that. And the power weapon that I'm using is the Corrective Measure. It's a Void weapon again, which really works with the build and the artifact. But again, you can go with whatever you want in these slots. They don't make too much difference. Use with what you're comfortable with. We're going to have a quick look at the stats next. You can see my mobility is at 44. This could be lower. Doesn't need to be high at all. We're not using mobility on this build in the Titan. You want to get your resilience up to 100 or as close to it as you can. I've got 60 on recovery. It's up to you here how your gear pieces fall. Like, you could go for more recovery, which would be ideal, to be fair. Like 70, 80 would be great. You could drop some resilience to get that if you prefer that. But you are going to want your discipline up high. I've got mine at 84. Intellect does not matter. And your strength also you want high. I've got mine at 80. The reason I'm aiming for these stats is because obviously resilience is going to keep you alive longer, but it also reduces the amount of cooldown for my ability, which I'm going to be using quite a lot to help with my crowd control. So that's why I've gone for 100 there. The grenades as well I'm using for crowd control on this build, so I want that as close to 100. And with the melee, that's going to help me get my ability back quicker with some of the mods that I've got on. So I want that as high as well to get that ability back even quicker. I practically have a barricade at all times with this setup. So looking at the pieces and the mods on the helmet, obviously use whatever stat mod you want to get the numbers that you need. But I'm using power preservation mod, where my super final blows are going to create extra orbs of power for your allies. I've got the heavy ammo scout to drop some heavy ammo for my teammates, as well as myself, the heavy ammo finder. And then moving on to my grips. With the mods here, we're throwing on an impact induction, so causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. That's why you want that melee attack coming back, and using that quite often. You'll be cooling down your grenades at the same time. I've got focusing strike, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee attack. I've got impact induction, causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown again. So we're doubling up on that mod. And then with the chest piece here, the mod I'm using is charged up. I'll quite often change these mods out, but charged up, it increases the maximum number of stacks of armor charge I can carry by 1. I've doubled up on that so I can have another armor charge. I've got unflinching void aim, reduces flinching from incoming fire while aiming a void weapon. Now when I'm doing more difficult content, say I'm going into a solo Lost Sector legendary difficulty, or doing more difficult content, I'm going to remove these charged up mods. I'm going to be putting on some resilience mods. Now, depending on the elements of the enemies, you might want to throw some void resistance on, some solar resistance. What is always good is this sniper damage resistance, so you're reducing incoming damage from enemies at range. And also this melee damage resistance, so enemies that are right up in front of you. These can be doubled up on if you want, so you can get some more resistance to whatever you need for the activity. But that's what I'll do for more tough content. The current setup with the charged up mods is for most of the content I'm doing in a group, which is quite easy, more casual, and I just want to be hitting harder. The exotic gear piece that I'm using on the build is it Aberrant Leap. These came after the Lightfall Legendary campaign. I was strongly advised to get them, and that I did. And the reason for it is Puppeteer's Control. So the Drenger's Lash spawns 2 additional projectiles, tracks targets more aggressively, and travels farther. You gain roving mail when suspending targets. This is really good. So when you put out your barricade, it used to just be like the one projectile that went out. So this is multiple now, and it's, as it says, it's more aggressive. You gain roving mail as well. It's really good for that crowd control, and with how quick we're getting the barricade back all the time, you're constantly suspending targets and getting that roving mail. The mods I'm using on this is the kinetic weapon surge, so my kinetic weapons gain a small bonus to damage while having armor charge, which is why I want those charged up mods. I've got Strand weapon surge, so my Strand weapons gain a small bonus, and I've doubled that up. You can see these are cheap. We'll explain that in a moment when we have a look at the artifact. But you'll change this depending on what weapons you use. Like if you wanted, well, to be fair, I might change this myself. I'm using that SMG a lot, the Void one at the minute. So instead of having the Strand weapon surge, I might switch that out for the Void weapon surge instead. But basically, with all that armor charge you get, and whenever you've got that, which is why I'm stacking it up, you've got that extra damage on your weapons. And then on the Titan's Mark, the mods I'm using on this is we've got the time dilation, so your decaying armor charge has a longer duration, keeping those damage buffs for longer with the additional charges as well. Font of Restoration, where you gain a bonus to recovery while you have any armor charge. So I like that because my recovery is lower than I want it to be at 60. Whenever I've got that armor charge, which is going to be lasting longer, it's going to have extra charges, I'm going to have that bonus to recovery. Now, if I was switching about the build and I wasn't really too much focusing on the armor charge, I dropped those extra charges. We weren't thinking about that. We were thinking more defensive. I would probably just drop out this time dilation one and double stack on that Font of Restoration, because although you're not really focusing on the armor charges, you do get them every time you pick up an orb, and it will add more survivability to the build, which is great again for when you may be doing your solo stuff and you're doing solo legend lost sectors or whatnot. So now we're going to move on to the subclass and look how I've done this. So we're using the barricade. I go for the towering barricade. like I said, that is out all the time. It's got a base cooldown of 48, but with my mods and how it's set up, I'm getting that back much quicker. Like normally when I put a barricade out, as long as I can hit the melees right and everything else is going right, I could have a barricade back before the other one is finished. It's really good. You can suspend targets all of the time with that, and it's great for the crowd control. Whatever jump that you want, I've gone with the catapult lift here. I've got the frenzied blade, which is the only thing you can have there, and I've gone for the shackle grenade. So with the shackle grenade, you're going to be suspending targets. The only two aspects you can have with Strand are the Into the Fray and the Drenger's Lash, so we've got that. And the fragments, I've picked these really based on the stats they're given to get my stats where I want them. So Thread of Finality, Finisher Blows, create Threadlings, which is good, but it's also giving me 10 recovery. Without that, it'd be at 50. I've got the Thread of Continuity, Suspend, Unravel, and Sever effects applied to targets have increased duration. Also gives me 10 strength. I'm using Thread of Transmutation. While you have Woven Mail, Weapon Final Blows create Tangle. Gives me 10 strength as well. And with the Barricade and the exotic boots, that's giving me the Woven Mail. So I'm getting that Tangle there. And the Thread of Propagation, powered melee final blows grant your Strand weapons unraveling rounds. This is another way to deal with barrier champs. It's not ideal, but if you do a melee final blow, those unraveling rounds will work on a barrier champ. It is much better throwing the Arbalist on or something, or having a weapon ready, because you can't always rely on getting that finisher to get those unraveling rounds. And finally, we'll have a look at the artifact. Not everything here is related to the build, so we're not going to go through everything, but obviously you've got your weapons there for your Unstoppable, Overload, and Piercing if needed. I am using an SMG, so that's great for Overload champions. My SMG there to stun them. We've got the authorized mod Strand. This brings those Strand mods down from a cost of 3, I think, to 1. So they're cheap, and that's what we're using. And there's the Void one as well. So those Void mods at a cost of 1, this is why. This is what's making them cheaper rather than costing 3. Really enables you to stack them up if you want to and really improve the build. Another mod important for this build here is the Untangler. Destroying a tangle with a Strand weapon suspends targets damaged by the explosion. So when you see those tangles in the air, just switch that Strand weapon and destroy it, and it's going to tangle them all, or suspend them rather. And what is very important is the Volatile Flow. So picking up an Orb of Power grants your Void weapon volatile rounds. This is really OP this season, and it works well with this Hero's Burden. The god roll on this is the stabilizing rounds. The final blows cause nearby targets to become volatile. So this is like stacking up with that artifact mod. As I'm picking up orbs, I'm getting the volatile rounds, but also as I'm getting final blows, I'm getting them to all nearby targets. It allows you to absolutely destroy swarms of ads. So I highly recommend, even if it's not the Hero's Burden, an SMG with the stabilizing rounds. It works very well with this Volatile Flow mod. Some people are saying you don't need Volatile Flow because of that talent on the gun, but I say use both. And I quite often use my heavy a lot as well, the corrective measure. So Bricks from Beyond, by defeating powerful enemies with a void weapon, has a chance to generate heavy ammo for me and my teammates. That's also stacking up with the mods that I've got on. We want as much heavy ammo as possible, especially for the tougher content. And then we've got this mod as well, Allied Unraveling. So rapid final blows with a Strand weapon grants your weapon unraveling rounds with a longer duration near allies. So again, this can be used for barrier champs if needed. So there's another alternative there. If you get some rapid final blows with your weapon or your Strand weapon, you can then use those unraveling rounds to take out the barrier. Still not ideal. That barrier comes up random. You can't always assume you're going to be able to get the unraveling rounds. So I still use the Arbalist myself. And then the final 2 mods that are helping the build is Threaded Blast. So destroying a tangle with a Strand weapon creates a larger and more damaging explosion. And then I've got Prismatic Transfer. So when I cast my super, each member of my fire team with a subclass damage type different than mine gains a bonus to their weapon damage. My team, like I normally run with like Radhi or Milk or whatnot, they're never using or even Drag. They don't really use Strand. So this works very, very well. And that is everything. This is my very first Destiny 2 build video. I'm going to learn and get better at making these as I go along, I'm sure. I think I've included everything. I imagine you want some more gameplay. Like I said, I have released gameplay of this build. I stream it very regular. On screen now is their solo legend Lost Sector that I did flawless earlier on today. And it's just great. It is a good solo build. I probably built something a little bit different if that's what the primary focus was. But in a group, in your fire team, it is just so good. Like that barricade coming out, always suspending the targets. You just got constant crowd control. The team love it. And my team's normally dropping orbs and everything's got supers all the time as well. I've used this in raids. I've used this in dungeons. I've used this in master difficulty. Like I said, solo legend difficulty. It's been used for some tough content so far. I'm looking forward to trying it out on the Grandmasters next week, and we'll see how it does. But it's my first build I've ever put together on Destiny 2. I'm happy enough to share it right now. I look forward to making more. Please do hit like and share on the video to support it. Subscribe if you're new for more Destiny 2 content and future builds. Don't forget, down in the video description is a link to our great community, but also that page if you want to download this build for use later. Go and check it out. Thank you for watching this today. Until next time, stay safe and peace out.